What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/AmITheButthole. And if you are new here and love a Reddit story, don't forget to click that subscribe button, maybe that notification bell too, and select it as always. YouTube sometimes unsubscribes people. I don't know why it does it. I really can't work it out. And just a huge thank you to each and every one of you for spending 20-30 minutes with me today, getting involved, and let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Why I Love You, titled, Am I the arsehole for backing out of cooking for my dear husband's guests after he told me, do your job? My husband and I both work equal hours. I'm a hairstylist working at a salon, and he is a warehouse manager. My mother-in-law is very sexist and lives in the 1950s still. She said women can't stop taking care of their household as a priority, no matter what they achieve. I hated this, and it caused endless problems between us. My husband learned to do everything from folding his clothes to fixing the toilet except cooking. His mum taught him that his future wife should do everything so he didn't have to learn. He defended me against her and cut contact with her. She hasn't participated in a gathering since 2015 due to the family not wanting her around. My husband cleans while I cook, but he tends to complain from time to time and throw some weird beliefs/opinions at me that are similar to what his mum thinks. I get it, since he's been raised by her and this mentality takes time to go away. Last week he had guests over and asked me to help him host dinner. We agreed that I cook and he clean like always. Guests arrived and my husband sat with them while I was in the kitchen cooking. I had issues with the oven, I was running late and dinner wasn't ready yet. My husband rushed into the kitchen asking why dinner wasn't ready yet, and I said I'd be done soon. He grabbed a few glasses while pressuring me to hurry up. I made a comment about how I didn't even get to meet his guests and how unfair it was. He casually said, "Just do your job," and rushed out. I was shocked. I stopped him and asked, "What did you just say to me?" He looked at me quizzically. I turned the oven off and stopped cooking. He was freaking out saying, No, wait, what are you doing? Well, I took my apron off. I said I don't work for him to tell me to do my job, and he should just take over the cooking if he thought I was slow. He begged me not to do this to him and explained he didn't mean to tell me to do my job, but only spoke this way since he used to say stuff like that at work and wasn't paying attention. I refused to continue cooking and went upstairs to wash the smell of onion off me. I left him in the kitchen to handle serving dinner on his own, and he came upstairs 2 hours later after the guests left and looked an absolute mess. Hair messed up and his shirt stained. He asked if I was happy and proud of proving a point by backing out of cooking last minute just because he slipped and accidentally said do your job. I told him that he's an adult and is responsible for what comes out of his mouth, accidental or not, and again said I didn't have to cook for his guests and that I volunteered to help, and he sounded like his mother with what he said. He said it wasn't true and that he was disappointed because I didn't stick to my word and left him to fend for himself and embarrassed him in front of guests by giving him half-cooked meals over something so dumb. He walked out after changing his clothes and called me mean. He wants an apology for backing out last minute, knowing he can't cook. Am I the arsehole? Teach Like a Hawk says, yeah, of course you're the arsehole. You and he had an agreement. You were cooking and something went a little wrong. You were scrambling, you were stressed, and then he came and insulted you. But he quickly realized he was wrong and apologized. Instead of accepting it, knowing that in a marriage you support your spouse, even when your spouse does something dumb, you stomped off like a jerk. Yeah, you're the arsehole. Good grief. You even give that a whole long background about him so that we understand where he comes from and how much he has given up for you and how hard he has worked to change. Those were not the words of a man refusing to change or resentful of your independence. He was stressed and spoke without thinking. I'm worried that your relationship is transactional. Where is the forgiveness and understanding? 100% you're the arsehole. Self-destructive arse says, not the arsehole. If my husband did that, dinner party would have been over there itself and an argument would have ensued. Do your job sounds like you are his indentured servant, plus his few comments, which you told he blurts from time to time, make me believe this might not have been a slip of the tongue. That's his mentality right there. Have a talk with him and maybe get involved in cooking. Cooking is an essential life skill and he needs to learn. Tell him this. Millie Mission says, I'm going to go against the grain here. Everyone sucks here. Our partners are our partners. You knew this would embarrass him at the least and possibly humiliate him. What he said was wrong and infuriating. He was flustered and clearly wanted to impress these guests. You are also flustered for reasons out of your control, but also doesn't mean you leave him hanging. A co-worker, friend, acquaintance, sure, but not your partner. Unless you're planning to leave him for it. Tell him you're upset, set it aside, and lay into him later. There's no need to humiliate him. He sucks, you suck, everyone needs therapy. AliMCK says, not the arsehole. I also feel like it needs to be recognised that all of this started because of OP's husband actually interfered with her cooking. I don't know what kind of barn he was raised in, but you don't go storming into the kitchen and inform the cook that they're taking too long, especially when you yourself don't cook. Especially when you yourself do not cook. He can't have it both ways. Either he stops pretending that choice parts of his anatomy are going to fall off if he touches the stove and starts helping out, or he stays out of her damned way. And one more from Bamf, who says, not the arsehole. Good for you for not putting up with your husband's crap. There is a fundamental truth in your relationship. You know how to cook and he doesn't. That means that when it comes to cooking, you have a value and he doesn't, and you just showed him. You are in a position of power. He needs to appreciate what you do for him, not take it for granted and bark out orders to you. I will say this, he will remember this lesson. If you had backed down at last minute, he would have taken it as you backed down if he pushed you hard enough. Now he knows you mean business and you will not be pushed around, and you will not be treated like a servant. A marriage is a partnership, not a corporation where one person is the boss. The correct way for him to act is to show you gratitude for the efforts you put in to that night's gathering. Now, what do you guys make of this one? A varied bunch of comments in this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story is from a throwaway account titled, Am I the Arsehole for accidentally upsetting my niece by saying her mum's life would be better if she wasn't born? To summarise, I, 32 female, got into an argument over something ridiculous and now everyone's mad at me. When my sister, 26 female, was 17, she got pregnant and had a baby girl. Obviously, since she was young, she wasn't exactly ready to raise a kid, but my family did the best we could to help her out. She currently has a stable job and is living with her child and the child's father in their own apartment. The issue is that since she has had the baby so young, she never got to really experience her life. I'm child free and I'm always enjoying new life experiences, and I know my sister is jealous of me for it. The other day I came over for her daughter's birthday party and we were talking about her as a baby. At one point we started to argue about how she was raised, and I said, don't you ever think your life would have been better if she had never been born? It turns out her daughter was in earshot of this, so she heard everything and got really upset. My sister got defensive and said that her child was the best thing to ever happen to her, and called me an arsehole and kicked me out of the party. She blocked my number and won't talk to me at all now. My mum is saying I should apologise, but my dad agrees with me on this and says my sister was overreacting. Maybe I was a bit too aggressive when I said it, but I know what I said was true. Am I the arsehole for what I did? Now, it's one of those ones where I'm going to have to put myself in that position of that person, and you come up to me and you tell me, you know, my hypothetical child, that they shouldn't have been born. Yeah, your ass would have been out fast. And it makes it like 10 times worse that the child actually heard it as well. And I'm assuming the niece is old enough to understand everything that went on, because you said yourself she heard everything and got really upset. So now that's in her mind too, that, you know, that she's not good enough. And that was your fault. Children just don't forget these things like that and can be very, very sensitive to words like this. So 100% you're the arsehole. Why would that even come out your mouth anyway? I don't understand it. It's one of these ones where I don't understand the logic of this person. Why? What goes through your head? Tap in my head right now. What goes through your head to think, yeah, that's a good thing to say. This is the perfect opportunity to say something like that. You absolute boob. But Santos Dude says, you're the arsehole. Holy shit, I was eager to read this thinking, come on now, let's find out where the context is before jumping to a conclusion. But nope, 100% you are a certified grade A, worst of the worst arsehole. It was the kid's birthday party. The kid's birthday party. Even if the kid wasn't in within earshot, that's not okay to say. I would suggest you apologise, but part of me thinks that your sister and her family is better off with no contact from you. Purple Mighty Owl says, perhaps your sister's life would have been better off if you weren't born. The Bookish One says, you're the arsehole and I can't say what I want to say to you without being banned for not being civil. Heather Ann says, you're the arsehole. I hate people who think that people who took different paths in life are inherently unhappier or less fulfilled than the path they chose. Everyone has a different path and things work out differently. It seems that your sister is happy. She has a wonderful daughter and a nice family unit, and yet you say out of the gate that you think she is jealous. This is just as bad as if your sister said you were lonely and unfulfilled because you were child-free. Everyone has their own path. It's very petty of you to think this, let alone to say it out loud, let alone to your sister, let alone at her daughter's birthday party. Your self-absorption and lack of empathy is off the charts. Occam's razor says you're the arsehole. Do you honestly have to ask? When you said it would be better if your niece had never been born. Papa Kane says you think what you said is true, and if you had any love for your niece, you'd have kept your mouth shut. You're the arsehole. And one more cheeky one from Iron Punk who says you're the arsehole. Words carry weight, and planting seeds like that in someone's mind, especially the daughter's mind and sense of self and worth, can be poisonous. Your daughter will have to do damage control for these negative thoughts and echoes you created for a long time. Apologize. Now, what would you do if a family member of yours done something similar? How would you react? Let me know your thoughts and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Fuzzes. Am I the arsehole for ruining an engagement dinner? My friend Sarah invited my boyfriend and I, female, to a dinner where she had announced her engagement with her now fiance. There were many of her closest friends there with their significant others. Once Sarah announced her engagement, everyone was congratulating her and everything. We were stoked and just having a good time. Then Sarah's other friend, N, announced that she was expecting a baby with her husband. All the attention went on her and everyone started congratulating her and her husband. I looked towards Sarah and she was silent but looked really upset. I asked her if she allowed N to announce her pregnancy here. Sarah said no, but not to worry about it. Her fiance looked mad but didn't say anything either. I don't know if this is what makes me the arsehole, but my boyfriend says it does. I get N's attention loudly, and everyone looks at me. I said, you weren't given permission to announce your pregnancy here. Sarah and her fiance gathered everyone here and are paying for our meals. The night is about them, not you. If you wanted a pregnancy announcement dinner, you should have held it on your own time, but you wanted to take the attention from Sarah and her fiance away so badly that you're ruining their engagement dinner. You're toxic. N and everyone were looking at me before she started crying and saying that I shouldn't be talking to her like this, since she's pregnant, and that wasn't the case. I told her that she wasn't the first woman to be pregnant and that a lot of pregnant women can respect their friends too, and not make everything about themselves. N and her husband left, and it was a bit awkward, but eventually the dinner went back to normal. When my boyfriend and I got home, he said I was an arsehole. I asked him how, because I really didn't see it, but if he could explain, then I'm willing to apologise to N. He said it was none of my business and I should have kept quiet, that no one needs to hear my opinion and how I ruined the night for both of them. I got a bit defensive and said N ruined the night for Sarah and I ruined the night for N, so I don't know how I ruined the night for both. Am I the arsehole? Edit. Sarah texted me after the dinner and said thank you, that I didn't have to say what I did, but she was happy. More so once N left because the pregnancy announcement hurt her. Edit 2, well guys, I really didn't expect so many responses, but thank you for helping me realise that I wasn't really in the wrong. I agree with some of you that my delivery should have been better, but in the heat of the moment, I didn't really think about it. Thank you guys again. And there we can see what the verdict's already going to be on this particular story. And we had one of these stories just recently, where the couple done a gender reveal at one of these dinners, and the OP was pretty epic in it, in that they sent him a bill for half the dinner afterwards. Obviously they wasn't going to get it paid, I doubt it anyway, but I kind of like the idea. And I kind of go with that last edit in saying, is there a better way to deliver it? Would pulling this couple to the side and explaining that, you know, that was a really shitty move of what you'd done, would that have been a better way to deal with it? Or is calling them out in front of everyone a justified way? Personally, I don't think I'd be able to call someone out in front of everyone like that. I would have been happy to, you know, pull them aside and say that's not acceptable. But that's because of my own insecurities, really. But I'm going to say I'm not the arsehole on this one for me. Although it could be in everyone sucks here. But hey, let's see. Let's go to the comments to see what they say. And we'll start with Viminous Bo says not the arsehole. I wish you were one of my friends. That's awesome. Edit N ruined the dinner. You put her in her place and stood up for Sarah. Crispy username user says not the arsehole. Sarah's lucky to have a friend like you. Edit, also this. I told her that she wasn't the first woman to be pregnant, and a lot of pregnant women can respect their friends too and not make everything about themselves. Chef's kiss. Don't know why I actually did it there, but Pat James says not the arsehole. You stood up for your friend. Your friend thanked you. Your boyfriend seems like the type who does not like to make waves. Fine for him, but he does not have the right to tell you how to act. People need more friends like you. Eliana says, edit after reply. Not the arsehole, if Sarah was happy with the outcome and the party continued afterwards, you stood up for your friend appropriately and turned the dinner back around. Nothing you said truly crossed the line into cruelty/arsehole behaviour. Just honestly. That you're toxic makes me cringe, to be honest, but I still think you're not the arsehole. Unassuming RPG says you were the arsehole, but you were the best kind of arsehole. Yay for calling out N for a totally inappropriate announcement and supporting Sarah. You took on the burden of being the one to confront N and kept Sarah from having to take the embarrassment of the moment and suffer in silence. Your boyfriend sounds like my husband, who will do just about anything to avoid a confrontation. I, on the other hand, am a mama bear when it comes to my friends and family. I'm so proud of you for your mama bearing for your friend. And one more from Angel, who says not the arsehole, what ended was so tacky and she deserved to be called out. She's the toxic one, not you. Now, what do you guys think of this one? Do you think OP is not the arsehole, or do you think they are the arsehole? A justified one maybe? Let me know your thoughts and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Allergic to Dogs. Am I the arsehole? I told my roommate if they get a service dog, they would have to move out. I, 27 female, live with my roommate Jay, 30 female. I own the house, but she helps with bills and stuff. Jay has seizures and anxiety. She takes medicine, but it doesn't always work, and it's really bad when it doesn't. She recently went to her doctor and they recommended that she get a service dog that would alert her to her seizures and do deep pressure therapy. Over the weekend she brought it up and told me what the doctor had told her. She said she had reached out to someone who bred service dogs already. I was pissed when I found out. I am allergic to dogs really badly. It gets hard for me to breathe if I go into someone's house and they have a dog. I can take some medicine, but if there's dog hair everywhere, then it'll only make it better and it'll still be uncomfortable. I told her that, and she had known that when she moved in. She said that she would get a non-allergic dog like a poodle or a golden doodle. I still have allergies to those. It's better, but it's still pretty bad, and again, medicine doesn't completely help. I told her that she has gotten on so far without one, and that if she got one, it either couldn't come inside or she'd have to move out. Jay said that was unfair, as she can't afford to move anywhere else, and it's something possibly life-threatening compared to discomfort. She hasn't made a decision yet, but my family asked about it because she's friends with them. They think I'm being an arsehole for threatening to kick her out when she has nowhere to go, and that she'd be getting a dog that wouldn't cause allergies anyway. Jay is also pretty upset with me about this. I'm starting to think that I should just let her get the dog and take the allergy pills and mild discomfort, but I don't know. Am I the arsehole for saying she can't stay with me if she got a service dog? Now, I was going to come into this one with a no one's the arsehole here, you know. She's been recommended to get a service dog that's going to help her throughout her life, which is a positive thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. OP's got allergies, it's their house, so they deserve to be comfortable in their own home. It's just a really horrible, tricky situation. I totally get where OP's coming from. They're definitely not the arsehole in this situation to me. You know, this is their house. They own this house. And Jay turning around and saying, you know, that was unfair, she can't afford to move anywhere else. And I hate to say it, but, and I know it's harsh, but it's not your problem. You just can't force these issues onto other people. That's just not fair either. And another thing it makes it not the arsehole rather than no one's the arsehole here is the fact that the roommate in this situation went out and is already researching, already talking to, you know, breeders. So trying to get those plans in place for a dog already, even though she hasn't got somewhere, you know, that's her own place, and was just assuming, I assume in this case, that she can just bring the dog home. But I also know there's long queues and stuff like that to get a service dog, I do believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but from whenever I've heard of these stories, it's like there's like years long waiting queue to be able to get one of these dogs because they're so specialized. But Fit Distribution says, not the arsehole. I am disabled, but I would never force someone with allergies like yours to live with a dog. Allergy meds eventually become less effective. You shouldn't have to live like that in your own house. Dander and hair will hang around for years after. She needs to make a choice and stick to it. Wouldn't surprise me if she ambushes you and claims discrimination. Edit because people don't read. I was wheelchair bound when I was fired by a drunk driver. I am paralysed from T2. I have scoliosis and no balance. I can't use half my lungs. I'm a fall risk. Almost forgot to mention the incontinence. I am disabled too. Lorlorlay says, no one's an arsehole here. You both have medical conditions. Hers is a good reason to get a dog and yours is a good reason not to live with one. It sucks, but it doesn't seem like there's any solution to this other than her moving out. It's your house after all. You're not obligated to suffer through allergic reactions because she thinks she can't afford any other place. Dragon Rose says, and quotes, it's hard for me to breathe if I go into someone's house and they have a dog. Then says possibly life-threatening compared to discomfort. Then goes on to say, as someone that has worked healthcare, yours is potentially life-threatening also. One of the first assessments we learned in school was the ABCs, airway, breathing and circulation. If any of those are messed up, that patient automatically moves closer to the front of triage queue because it's that serious. ETA, allergies tend to get more serious for some people and can do so unexpectedly. So one day your exposure could turn to anaphylaxis. Regali replies to that saying, yes to this, I'm deathly allergic to guinea pigs, and only guinea pigs for whatever reason. Had to get rid of the classroom pet because of me. Made me unpopular, but I couldn't even be in the same room at the opposite end without my throat closing. I wouldn't chance it if I was OP. Plus, it's not just hair people are allergic to, it's the skin dander and saliva as well. I have a dog care business and I've encountered more times that people had to get rid of hypoallergenic dogs because they were allergic to it. Lefty on the left says no one's an arsehole here. She has a good reason to want a dog, but it's incompatible with her living situation. Since you are allergic, you shouldn't be made to live with a dog and suffer. Unfortunately, it seems like the best solution for her is to find another living arrangement. And one more from Chopperello who says no one's an arsehole here. A dog may be a huge benefit to her, but it may mean she needs to change her living situation to accommodate that. Now, what do you guys make of this one? How would you deal with this situation? And we'll move on. And our next story comes from Joy Shinny saying, am I the arsehole for kicking my in-laws out of my house? My husband comes from a family of 5. His parents, 2 sisters and then him. He's the middle kid and doesn't always get along with his family, but he loves them. I'm an only child of a single parent and sometimes that shows in me. When my husband is used to big family get-togethers all the time, I'm more used to it being just me and my mum. Not really extended family, and hosting was not a huge thing growing up. But I have tried to help maintain things for the sake of everyone's relationship. The issue is how much my husband's family expect. They expect a family member hosting to have food on hand and plenty to drink on hand and to basically wait on them. They do it for us. They grew up with that's how you do it, like a waitress. Whereas when I have friends over as a kid, it was casual. Very casual, and dinner was definitely more casual and nothing fancy ever. Whereas my husband's family goes all out. Starters, mains, desserts, with steaks, fish, legs of lamb, etc. Wine and other alcoholic drinks are provided. My husband and I are not rich, and we tend to make cheaper meals. In part because food insecurity growing up taught me that you don't need to be fancy or spend a ton of money to make good food. Pasta, lasagna, chicken dinner, rice dishes, curry dishes, homemade pizzas, basic-ish salads. To host my husband's family, we normally default to lasagna and pasta with some curry dishes thrown in, because those are easy to make for a lot of people. We also got some negative comments about it, but my husband shuts it down. Saturday was different though. We had pasta and salad and ice cream for dessert, and my husband and dad commented that we must be allergic to red meat. Then his mum said she didn't like needing to put her own dressing on the salad. My husband told them to knock it off, but while he was in the bathroom, my husband's older sister confronted me on not serving better food because her 11-year-old daughter was not liking the pasta. Niece then asked me to make her this clam ravioli dish they make at home, and she told me it would only take 4 hours. I said I couldn't make it, but would she like a sandwich? Her mum told me she felt sorry for mine and my husband's 4-month-old son, if this is how I plan on feeding him, and her comment was the last straw. I told them to get out. Nobody had finished eating, but I didn't care. They were pissed at me. My husband was pissed at the comment made about our son. Am I the arsehole? Now, you was never going to be the arsehole in this situation. Guests come into your house and be bloody rude to you all the way through. Hell, whenever I'm a guest in someone's house, I'm just glad I'm going there and someone's cooking for me. I'm just absolutely thrilled about that. And there is nothing wrong with curry dishes whatsoever. I could eat those all week, let me tell you. My guts won't thank you for it, but but I certainly will. And the cheek of these people. Oh, could you make me that clam ravioli dish? It'll only take you 4 hours to whip up. Hop to the kitchen. No way are you the arsehole, and I don't blame you for kicking him out. And it sounds like your husband backs you up too, with Cloth Diaper Addict saying not the arsehole. They're arsehole guests who attack your offerings, expect you to serve them, and then attack your parenting. Was it rude to kick them out? Probably, but you don't insult a host in their own home. It's unconscionably rude, and I'm pretty sure that 400 years ago, someone would have been stabbed with a sword due to the grievous nature of the insults. Pistol Rose says not the arsehole solely for expecting you to make a 4-hour clam ravioli dish. As for the rest, I think your in-laws have a screwy idea of what constitutes appropriate social behaviour. Fancy table settings, expensive meals and criticisms aren't it. It's courtesy and enjoying the people you're with, and that's absolutely too true. Whenever I go to, like I said before, whenever I go to family meals and stuff like that, it's all about just getting together and being with family. And, you know, the last couple of years has made that so much more important to me. It means the absolute world. BBO says not the arsehole. You are not a free catering service. You are not a free restaurant. Seriously, asking for a dish that takes 4 hours to make. Let them gather at some other family's home. They have no manners. JR Toad says not the arsehole, not at all, and I'll no longer be hosting them, period. If they are hungry, they can order food in. As for drinks, there's water from the tap, and my tea or coffee, and as for alcohol and soft drinks, it's now buy your own, and no more waiting in them hand and foot. If they can't get it for themselves, they go without. Bamf says not the arsehole, the sheer entitlement is just stunning. And then for them to confront you while your husband was in the bathroom, and you would have no defender, was just cowardly. When you're a guest in someone else's house, you accept what they serve, with the only exception being for food allergies, or just politely declining. You don't treat it like a usual restaurant and give orders, especially for a recipe that only takes 4 hours to make. I've got to admit that I think this is the only tip of the iceberg about how they feel about you. They seem to have a terminal case of affluenza. I certainly would not have them over again without some serious grovelling on their part, especially that brat of a niece. And we have a couple more one from This Is Not a Toy, who says not the arsehole. Wow, what a toxic family. They may be great hosts, but they need a lesson for how to be gracious guests. Primish Directive says not the arsehole. Normal people would be perfectly delighted at a supper at a loved one's house with lasagna and ice cream. Normal people do not expect Michelin-star restaurant quality food and service in a private home. And polite people do not insult the host of the family or disparage their parenting. Holy yikes. This has nothing to do with big family get-togethers versus private living. This has to do with basic manners, which your in-laws lack. Now, what are your thoughts on this story? How would you react if someone came into your home like that, and your in-laws family came in and they was making demands like that and expecting you to act in certain ways, to like be a servant for them in your own home? How would you feel? Have you ever experienced such entitlement in your own home? Let me know your thoughts, verdicts on all of today's stories. I would love to hear them as always. Thank you for spending 20 to 30 minutes with me today, getting involved with the channel. Don't forget to hit that like if you have a moment, and subscribe as well if you really enjoy Reddit stories. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.